Israel stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But Israel was pierced for our issues. Israel was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon Israel, and by Israel's wounds we are healed. This is what the author is actually saying, because the author uses the word he for the nation of Israel. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on Israel the iniquity of us all. This is coming from the Tanakh, from the Hebrew scholars, from the rabbis, and this is the only way you can actually know what's going on in the Old Testament, is to interpret it the way it is interpreted in the Tanakh by the Jews. I'm sorry, the Christian interpretation often doesn't work. It's very nice to try to do this. It sounds really good, but it's a total disconnect from the reality of what the Hebrew scriptures say. So anything in Isaiah 53 that is a he, a him, is relating to the nation of Israel, not to a messianic figure. If this was so, I could take verses from the Bible and I could say that George Bush predicted. We can do this very quickly here. Okay, let me not screw up my browser here, but let's do this, okay? We'll start with Exodus 3:2. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames fire from a bush, okay? Flames of fire from within a bush. Evidently, this has got to be George Bush, right? Because it says flames of fire from a bush. Okay? Ezekiel, let me see, Exodus 3:15. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation, the name of Bush. Exodus 3:18. The elders of Israel will listen to you. Yes, the elders of Israel do listen to George Bush. See, it is in Isaiah 54:16. See, it is I who created the blacksmith who fans the coals into flame and forges weapons fit for its work. In other words, he's building a lot of weapons in the United States. I can make this appear to be George Bush by biblical interpretation if I want to. Lou, I'm sure you can do better. The mic is free. Salam alaikum.
Well, I'm glad I have my opponent on record believing that Isaiah chapter 53 is about Israel, but unfortunately for him, Rashi was the first person, the first sage that took that position, or one of the first that took that position. By the way, I'm sending over a link, www.herenow.org. You'll see there's a link right there. You might want to take a look at it. Many of Rashi's predecessors and successors, rabbis, believe that Isaiah chapter 53 was about a suffering Messiah. Okay, so my worthy opponent Aisa is incorrect, just because Rashi took that position because he was under duress by the Christians who are haunting the Jews about Isaiah 53, and he had to take another position. You can go ahead and click on that link and verify all the quotes from rabbis. In fact, the Targum Jonathan starts Isaiah 52:13 as, "Behold my servant, the Messiah." Okay, so clearly, even way prior to Jesus Christ, rabbis believe that Isaiah chapter 53 was about a suffering Messiah. That's number one. Second of all, I show that the arm of the Lord is likened to a king, priest, judge, righteous, and having salvation. The Messiah would be king, priest, judge, righteous, and having salvation. Here's my sixth example showing a parallel between the arm of the Lord and the Messiah. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 10 regarding the Lord's arm says, "Behold, the Lord God will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him." Verse 11 says, "He shall feed his flock like a shepherd." The arm of the Lord is also likened to a shepherd. Look what it says about the Messiah in Zechariah chapter 13 verse 7, which, by the way, is quoted on behalf of Jesus in the book of Matthew chapter 26. "Against my shepherd." Jesus calls himself the good shepherd. So the Lord's arm is likened to a shepherd, Isaiah chapter 40 verse 11. The Messiah is likened to a shepherd, Zechariah 13 verse 7, and in the New Testament. Now, Isaiah chapter 53 verse 3. My opponent is on the record for taking the position that Israel is the servant of Isaiah chapter 53, and I'm glad to hear that. At least he has a counterpoint. This is what it says. "He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not." Look what it says about Jesus in John chapter 1 verse 11. "He came unto his own, and his own received him not." Isaiah chapter 53 verse 4. Let's go down the line a little bit. Isaiah chapter 53 verse 4, this is what it says. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. Verse 5. But he was wounded for our truths, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. How is Israel healed by us? Who was healed by Israel's stripes? Would that make any sense? According to the rabbis now, the Gentile nations are speaking of Israel. How are the Gentile nations healed by Israel's stripes? Does that make any sense to anybody? It doesn't to me. Let's go to verse 6. I have a minute left. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way. And the Lord had laid on him the iniquity of us all. Doesn't that sound like Jesus Christ to everybody who's read the New Testament? How could God had laid on Israel the iniquity of the Gentile nations? That wouldn't make any sense. He was oppressed, verse 7, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Israel didn't certainly open their mouth when they were under torment and affliction. Look what it says in Isaiah 52, verse 5. Now therefore, what have I here, saith the Lord, that my people is taken away for naught? They that rule over them make them to howl. Israel did open their mouth when they were under torment and affliction, but the Messiah didn't. You know what he said? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. My time is up. Isaiah 53 does not fit Israel, and I'll continue to prove that in the next time I come up. Aisha, the mic is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm failing to understand why Lou is so intent on trying to prove that the Muslims do not believe in the Messiah. We do believe in the Messiah, Lou. Perhaps you'd like to try another tack. But I do like the fact that you brought up the Good Shepherd. Can I have Zechariah 11:7-17, please? The Good Shepherd. Lou, I appreciate that. This is a statement from Zechariah concerning the quote-unquote messianic verses concerning Jesus. So I pastured the flock, marked for slaughter, particularly the oppressed of the flock. Then I took two staffs, called them one favor and the other union, and I pastured the flock. In 1 month I got rid of the 3 shepherds. The flock detested me. I grew weary of them. Jesus grew weary of his flock and said, I will not be your shepherd. Jesus said he will no longer be your shepherd. Let the dying die and the perishing perish. Let those who are left eat one another's flesh. This is a messianic thing for Jesus. Then I took my staff called favor and broke it, revoking the covenant aid with all the nations. It was revoked on that day, and so the afflicted of the flock who were watching knew it was the word of the Lord. Okay, Jesus used the word of the Lord to revoke his covenant with Israel. I told him, if you think it best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. Now, this is supposed to be the messianic thing of the 30 pieces of silver with Judas. But it was paid to the shepherd, the good shepherd, or the bad shepherd in this case, Jesus. Thank you, Lou, for pointing this out. Okay, and the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they priced me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them into the house of the Lord to the potter, which is, of course, paralleled in the New Testament by somebody writing about how Judas had given the money to the potter, and the potter bought a field, okay? But here, Jesus says, then I broke my second staff called union, breaking the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. He no longer came for the lost sheep of Israel, or for Judah for that matter. He broke the bond between them. This is the messianic concern for Jesus in Zechariah, recognized by all your scholars, Lou. Then the Lord said to me, take again the equipment of the foolish shepherd. Now Jesus has gone from being the good shepherd to the foolish shepherd. For I am going to raise up a shepherd over the land who will not care for the lost, or seek the young, or heal the injured, or feed the healthy, but will eat the meat of the choice sheep, tearing off their hooves. In other words, Jesus is going to create mayhem amongst his flock. Woe to the worthless shepherd who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm in his right eye. May his arm be completely withered, his right eye totally blinded. This sounds like the Dajjal, the Antichrist, the one who will come in the end of times to destroy the world. Lou, in your messianic verse for Jesus, just because of 30 pieces of silver. Lou, this is your good shepherd, predicted in the old Zechariah. You guys use this verse to try to prove Jesus, and it doesn't work. Okay? Now, back to Isaiah very quickly. Again, if you take and you insert the word Israel, for all those he's and me's and I's and things like that, you have a wonderful little story about how the people of Israel are having their sins and their afflictions and their greed and their avarice tear down their own nation, which is absolutely true. It's what happened. The people of that time left God, they left their religion, and became extremely avaricious and greedy and hedonistic, and their sins tore down their nation to the point, Lou, where about 566 BC or thereabout, they were disbanded by God's power and cast to the winds, and the Babylonians took them into exile. They did to themselves, according to Isaiah 53. So, Lou, there you go. Isaiah 53 is clearly about Israel, and Israel fails because of what is in Isaiah 53. The mic is free. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, once again, oh, by the way, just want to remind everybody in the room that my worthy opponent hasn't shown where David satisfied Psalm 2:8 and Psalm 2:9 again. I've been waiting on that. I showed that the Messiah satisfies Psalm 2:8 and Psalm 2:9. Still waiting for my opponent to point. I just want to make sure that the room doesn't forget about that. And it's really nice to know that my worthy opponent takes the position that Isaiah chapter 53 is about Israel. I'm kind of stunned about that, to be honest with you. And the reason why I'm stunned about that is because, according to Isaiah chapter 53, this servant is a righteous servant. I don't know if a Muslim in this room would think that Israel is a righteous servant. I don't know if there is. I don't know if there's a Muslim in this room who would say that Israel has no deceit because this servant has no deceit. Israel has no deceit. Every time I hear a Muslim talk about Israel, they hate Israel. They think Israel has a lot of and the servant has no violence too. You know, I have a hard time thinking that my worthy opponent Aisa would take the position that Israel has no violence. I think the Muslims hate Israel because Israel has a lot of violence. But he's on the record of taking that position, so I'm going to have to show. First of all, I agree. Israel has violence, and I think everybody in this room, all the Muslims in this room, would agree with me. Israel does have violence. In fact, let me show proof to this room that Israel has violence. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 59, verse 3. Aisha doesn't believe Israel has violence. For your hands are defiled with blood regarding Israel, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, your tongue had muttered perverseness. But look at the violence here. For your hands are defiled with blood. Isaiah 59 verse 3. Look what it says about Israel in Isaiah chapter 1 verse 15. Isaiah 1 verse 15 says this: And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are filled with blood. That's what it says about Israel in Isaiah 1:15. I believe Israel has violence. Aisha takes the position that this is about Isaiah chapter 53 is about Israel. So Aisha, being a Muslim, thinks that Israel has no violence. I just don't get it. Regarding